Hi guys, I'm Heaton here together with Pinnacle to give you the five most influential players for me during the first half of this season. And looking back at this season, it has been, in my opinion, since CSK in 1999, it has been the best season we have ever seen on Counter-Strike. Kerrigan finally getting his major. We have the best final game ever between FaZe and Navi in a best of five, and I'm normally not a fan of a best of five, just ending a week ago, and it's been an amazing journey. And I'm gonna go over five of the players that I think are the most important for the teams, both in a good way and in a bad way. And I'm gonna start out actually with Kerrigan. I mean, he finally got his major, and it's been widely known that he's been, the best in game leader on the market, tactical wise, but his firepower has been, somewhat questionable, which is okay for IGL of his caliber. I mean, he's normally matched with, superstar players, and he still is. But the difference, that's transition phase. I mean, obviously, new players having Robs on the team, but in my opinion, the biggest change in the book is that Kerrigan, he's still on the in game leading level, performing on the level he always does, world class. But he also started firing a lot on all cylinder on an individual level, and that's the tipping point. Because if you look at the games, there's a lot of tight games there, and if Kerrigan wouldn't have been shooting as sharp as he does nowadays, like the old Kerrigan, they wouldn't have won the games. I'm actually gonna say this, and people might not agree, but I think Kerrigan is as important for his team as Simple is for Navi, and that's quite a huge thing in my book. I think Kerrigan is the reason, the biggest reason for FaZe that they're succeeding to this level as they're doing, and it's beautiful to see, and he deserves it all. If we go over to Simple, who I just mentioned, he is the best player in the world individually, no questions asked about it, in my opinion. Uh, I mean, considering everything that happened in the world and his home country, I think he's still performing on an insane level. I mean, his lowest level, I mean, it can be 1-8 in a game versus Astralis on Mirage. He still ends up on a plus KD and turns the game around for his team. It's just simple to a simple thing. I think, I mean, he's still developing and is becoming a more stable player than he was before, and that's beautiful to see, even with those circumstances, that he's delivering in that way. He's one of a kind, and I feel honored and blessed every time I get to watch the game when Simple is playing, because just like I mentioned, C has been around from '99, and there's never been anybody as good as Simple at the game. It's beautiful. Watch and I mean, just just absorb it and feel honored that you can see it. If we go over to not so positive things, just like I mentioned, Kerrigan and Simple, I think Saiwu, in my book, was maybe even better than Simple in periods before 1-2 years ago. He has been falling off a lot. I mean, he's still the best team in Vitality, but building this Vitality roster, I mean, they had all the expectations of going far. I mean, adding Dupree and Magisk, that's a superstar lineup, and they're not getting it together. In my book, when I see them play, reason why they're not performing, and also Saiwu is playing good, but he's not the old school Saiwu. He's been falling down. He's the best player in the team, but it's the communication. It doesn't feel like the team is communicating in the right way. I mean, because if you look at Magisk and Dupree, they've been doing it in Danish for so long, and if you look at the rest of the guys, Apex, Saiwu, etc., they've been doing it in French. And you can see that there's marginal errors that takes 1 or 2 seconds, which is a hell of a long time for a professional CS game, before they actually adjust to things, to calls that should have come out. So I do believe that it's a communication error or problem in the team, and that's the reason why Saiwun is not performing on the level where we're used to seeing him. And it's going to be interesting to see if Vitality are actually considering swapping out to build a whole French roster again, so Saiwu can start shining, because I think we're going to see old school Saiwu then. Otherwise, he's just one of the best players in the world, don't get me wrong, but it's not the old school Saiwu. Moving over to our Swedish heroes, obviously I have to talk about this since I'm a diehard NIP fan. And I'm gonna touch on Plopsky there, because I think when JDL joined the team, we saw Plopsky go like this. Like the player I, together with NIP and a lot of people out there, saw the raw potential that it has. It finally, came through. But looking at it, in recent months, it's been falling, and Plovsky are not, in my book, putting up the numbers that should be expected from him, or that's necessary for the team. And I mean, considering he has it in him, because we saw the numbers he put up in the beginning of JDL joining, it was like a Plopsky reform. And I think I'm not sure what's wrong. I'm not sure if his teammates are not right for him, or I'm not sure. But Plopsky needs to step it up. And to be honest, I'm not sure if NIP and Plopsky will win any big tournaments together with this lineup. We're gonna go into that when we go into teams again. He really needs to step up. We need to see Plopsky like we saw him 6 months ago. And then also, player to watch for the coming year. And this one is one of my personal favorites. Sam Pius in Movistar Riders. Jesus Christ, they've been developing so much. Movistar Riders being, tier 2 teams. Stepping up, winning DreamHack Valencia, then going into the ESL Cologne planes, running over everyone, and actually going really deep in the tournament, in the playoffs. It's a beautiful sign to see. And I think the sole reason, even though he did not perform as expected of him in the semi-final, I think Sampaias has been, the driving force in that team, and he has such a great future. I do believe, I'm not sure if we can count Movistar Riders as, high tier 1 team. They're definitely a tier 1 team, but a high tier 1 team yet, but they will be. They will definitely contend about tournaments if they continue developing like this. And the driving force is going to be Sampaias. If he can take it to the next level, I mean, because when we saw him in the semifinals, I believe that the reason he did not perform was that he got stuck by reality. Hey, I'm sitting in a Cologne semifinals playing here with some of the best in the world. I think it's gonna get used to it, or he will get used to it. And the raw potential that Sampaias has, it's insane. I mean, it's a future top 3, top 5 player in the world that we see there. So it's gonna be super exciting to follow his career and following the next 6 months or even a year after this. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a good player break, and I'll see you again next week.